Hey there, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about a few different things. One is the importance of sustaining our awareness, our mindfulness, our kind of level, even though there's no levels. I talked in another video about practicing from where you're at. So you've gone through life, you've maybe meditated X amount of hours with various techniques. Maybe you've done yoga. Maybe you've cried from some kind of divine, loving experience. Maybe you've seen synchronicities, and maybe you've had psychedelic experiences. There's a whole slew of things an individual can experience that feel important, that are wise, that are insightful, and not to get attached to them or make a drawing out of them, like a limited idea about those experiences. But when we come and we sit, or we just look at our own capacity to be aware, to kind of realize that we exist, we're here, we're alive, we're conscious. It's to realize that that awareness is completely one with all of those lessons we've learned, all those insights. We're all going to have maybe slightly different insights, but a lot of times they're very similar. This divine compassion, this indescribable, undefinable, ever-changing, boundless self-existence, something. And one of the negative aspects of having those experiences is that we can just turn it into a memory. With how our consciousness and our brain works, we just turn it into a thing to grab onto, and then we almost can feel proud. Myself and other people I've witnessed and people on the internet have had like psychedelic experiences where they've realized some profound truth about consciousness, psychology, matter, energy, God, the universe. And then there's almost this pride and attachment to that experience. But then it's that energy and that vibration and that feeling aren't present day to day. And if we come to non-duality, if you're here with me in any similar fashion where you've read Shankara or the Avadutta Gita or the Ribu Gita, Ashtavakra Gita, maybe you've heard things from Bernardo Kastrup, Francis Lucille, Rupert Spira, maybe you've seen the Buddhist versions of Dzogchen, Mahamudra, Garab Dorje, Padmasambhava, Patrul Rinpoche, Longchenpa. Maybe it's the Taoist oneness of the infinite flow, the infinite way. Or the Chan Buddhists that go beyond philosophizing about it and are just recorded as these spontaneous, peculiar essences, completely one with the natural order of things. Maybe something else. But you've come here and you've most likely engaged with some kind of non-duality. It's a very easy field to kind of hook into with a limited perceptual framework, a conceptual mapping, almost like a little gem we create in our mind, and it almost just feels good that I realized some sense of non-duality, some sense of truth that some of the most profound enlightened beings did. But then we go about our day to day. We go and we suffer and we feel pain and discomfort and fear and greed and just play the rat race and try to get by in life. And even maybe we're trying to make money from those realizations. Maybe we are still reactive and judgmental of people. You name it. The whole buffet of imperfections are here for us to do, myself included. There's no judgment, just that it's very, very key for us who have had some kind of click, some kind of like moment, awakening, realization, what have you, to find out how to sustain it. Because otherwise it's just an imagination, it's just a memory, a flickering light from the past that we think about over and over again to stir some sense of security and comfort and positivity and self-worth. But it's so much more than comforting a flesh bag for a temporary amount of time. It's about embodying and reverberating infinity without comparison. This is the beautiful and difficult thing, where we have to recognize our awareness in this moment. There's no other moment. See that we are seeing, that we exist, that we can pay attention, that we're conscious, and that there might be tendencies that happen usually, but to stand outside of those and not let them happen for now, without fear, without arguing. Because that's usually what's getting in my way for the sustaining of the awareness. It's like there's these worries that can come up. There's these like, oh, well, let's go have fun. Let's go get pleasure. Let's eat a food. Let's watch a show. Let's do something that kind of tunes me out a bit so that I don't realize any level of uncomfort in my life, any level of pain. Just like habits that I found that help pull my attention away from the holistic, which might include pain and disease and struggle and suffering and patterns that cause toxicity, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what have you. And that's usually, for me, what's kind of taken me away, are these kind of habits that have emerged that condense attention and make me kind of forget about a lot of other aspects of infinite reality, of God. And what's been helping me sustain awareness lately is realizing that behind my very eyes, not just my physical eyes, but my mind's eye, that interior sense of attention. I can shift my attention over to the right side of my body, and then I can gradually move it over to the left side. And there's this existence that has this attention, this awareness. So I look at that, just look that I look. And then I realize that it's the guru behind that. It is God behind that. It is literally infinity behind that. It is more that than it is this story of John, this narratively derived identity through an impermanent reality on planet Earth. It is more actually the Guru Deva, the Lord of Love, Shakti, Durga, Vishnu, Krishna, Shiva, Maharaji, Babaji. It is the blessed, all-loving infinity. And to just hold that without need to go anywhere or do anything, because it's already here. That's what's been helping me most days. And there's this effervescent patience. I come to see that I have all these tensions about what I want the future to hold and be like, and what I want my life to look like, what I want the world to be like, the pleasures I want to have, the pains I want to avoid. But for just as long as I can, to just set those aside, put those away for now, and realize that it's the Guru, the great teacher, the great perfection that is seeing through my eyes, that's within my very flesh, it's within my very head. That whole spacious experience, it's what's behind that is God. Because I see that I have all these demands on infinity to create this limited reality that I think is going to be comfortable and nice. But then I don't actually sit or live with that fearless faith that knows that God is behind all movement, all things, all my emotions, all my bodily sensations, all the mind stuff and the plans and the thinking and the ideas. I don't need to go anywhere. Just sit with it. And it's kind of, there is some sense to the saying you don't need to seek, you don't need to put in effort, it's not forceful. It is true, it's kind of dropping some of those habits that are always looking away at a contracted point, at a interpretation of one part of infinity, the fractal of this existence, instead of just kind of looking and looking and remembering that infinitude. And so it's not something I can put into words fully, but this is why I mentioned practicing from where you're at, because behind my very awareness, it is God, it is the Guru, it is love, it is a mystery, and it's ineffable, and it's always present, but it's also not disconnected from my past and all the things I've learned, all the learnings about not harming other beings and to love other beings, the learnings of not to compare to anybody else, to not be jealous, to not be angry, all the teachings on remembering that it's not in my control, so I don't need to get irritated or worry. All the teachings on everyone is God, but everyone's also an imperfect mess, just like me. And people can have ill intention, people can judge others, people can hate others, people can hurt others. It is the freedom of infinity for these things to happen. And I don't have to put on a fake smile. I don't have to look like a certain type of spiritual, hippie, stoic person. To just actually sit with awareness and the observer of awareness, the eye inside that can see that we can pick an attention spot and that we have attention, and there's a being that does this and experiences this, and then realizing throughout that whole sight, that whole eye and consciousness is Guru Deva. It's Maharaji. It's God. It's the loving infinity that's never not, always is. And there is no us in that. There is no John, earnestly. There's a body, we call it John. John has, access to a subset of memories that this brain has formulated, and we kind of play in that limited view, but my body is made up of the earth, which is made up of the universe, and it's run by laws beyond our imagination, and these laws continue after any sense of self passes, and the love reverberates through it all. And really, when you get down to it, even the motion of my hand isn't my own choice. There is no me to choose. It is just infinity, and because infinity is so vast, it can have infinite subjective contracted experiences that we call being a person. But to just sit or walk or breathe or look or hear, to just be aware. And then we're aware that we are aware, that we exist. And that is the Almighty. Behind and through all of that is Guru Deva. My gurus are Neem Karoli Baba and Shirdi Sai Baba. And they are one. They are Hanuman, they are Ram, they are Shiva, they are Premaheshvara, the Almighty Lord of Love. They're always here, always playing tricks on the limited focal view, always loving the limited focal view, and aiding it to expand and let go and realize a sustained awareness of infinite love, not needing to look like anything. My being doesn't need to now look like a Mandelbrot fractal because of infinity. It's infinity created everything before and up to now, and it is what allows everything to be and change and transform. So love your awareness from where you're at, realize that is God, and let that sustained awareness take you into the mystery, to realize you are the mystery, we are the mystery, this is God. And it's fun. But be patient. Don't be patient as in, okay, I forget about sustaining awareness and I go do my habits. Be patient with the fact that all sorts of tensions and and confusions and mind patterns and cravings, and things can happen while we try to sustain that loving awareness. And that loving awareness may collapse on itself to help us realize something greater, to realize that maybe we had a concept about awareness, a concept about God, a concept about love, and to help us make it felt even more, make the experience even more real, more vibratory, more blissful. And there's no competition. No one's better at it or worse at it, really. It's just all happening together at once. We're in it together. There's no race, so there's no reason to be hasty. But as many times as you can, in a day, in a week, in a month, every moment that you can click in to sustain awareness of that loving, infinite consciousness. Realize that you're doing it together with all the Guru Devas, with every deity, with every yogi, with every achieved Buddha, with every saint that lost themselves in love. It's closer than our very breath. Thank you so much for watching. Om Sai Ram.